The encounter the night was heavy on the alien world. 2 moons hung in the sky like watchful eyes, spreading silver light over the forest. Captain Elias moved carefully, his boots sinking into the soft soil. His ship had crashed 2 days ago, and he was still searching for help, food, and a way out. Every sound made him alert. Every shadow looked like a threat. He carried only a small medkit, a scanner, and his courage. The scanner beeped softly in his hand, warning of life forms nearby. Some were small, some were fast, but one was huge, bigger than anything he had seen before. Elias stopped, pressing himself against a tree. His breath slowed. He knew he was not alone, then he heard it, a deep growl mixed with pain. It echoed through the trees, more like a cry than a threat. Elias raised his head. His eyes followed the sound until he saw movement in the clearing ahead. There it was. The beast. It was massive, its body larger than a shuttle. Thick scales covered its back, glowing faintly in the moonlight. Its claws dug into the earth sharp enough to cut through steel. The creature's chest moved in heavy gasps, and its eyes shone like burning amber. But Elias saw something else in those eyes, fear and suffering. The beast was injured. Blood ran down its side, dark and sticky. Something sharp, maybe a spear or energy weapon, had cut deep into its flesh. Each time it tried to move, it stumbled and roared in pain. The ground shook with every breath it took. Elias felt his instincts scream at him to run. No human should stand so close to such a monster. One strike, one snap of its jaws, and he would be gone. But he didn't run. He stayed, because he could see it wasn't just a monster. It was dying. He whispered to himself, "What are you doing, Elias? This thing could kill you." But his feet moved anyway. Step by step, he entered the clearing. His hands open, no weapons drawn. The beast raised its head. Its growl shook the air, warning him to stop. Elias froze. His heart hammered in his chest. Slowly he knelt down, showing he meant no harm. He placed the medkit on the ground and slid it forward. "Easy. I don't want to hurt you," he said, his voice calm though his body trembled. The beast's eyes followed his movements. It sniffed the air, its huge nostrils flaring. Then, as if understanding, it lowered its head again. It did not attack. Elias opened the medkit. The smell of antiseptic filled the air. He took out a spray that stopped bleeding and a device to close wounds. He knew the tools were made for humans, not giant alien creatures, but it was all he had. Step by step, he moved closer. The beast growled again, but softer this time, almost weak. Elias reached its side, staring at the deep wound. The flesh was torn open, glowing faintly with strange energy. He sprayed the antiseptic. The beast roared in pain, shaking the trees. Birds flew from the branches, screaming into the sky. Elias ducked, his hands covering his head, but the strike never came. The beast didn't lash out. It stayed still, letting him work. "You're tougher than me," Elias whispered. "Hold on." He used the device, pressing it against the wound. Light flickered, sealing part of the torn flesh. The bleeding slowed. The beast's breathing grew steadier, though its eyes never left him. Time passed slowly. Elias worked, sweat running down his face. Each second he expected to be crushed, but it never happened. The monster allowed him to heal it. When he finally stepped back, the wound was closed. Not fully healed, but enough to save its life. Elias let out a breath he didn't know he had been holding. The beast raised its head and looked at him. For a long moment, man and creature locked eyes. Something unspoken passed between them. Trust. Then the beast lowered its head, resting it on the ground just inches from Elias. A gesture of peace. Elias laughed softly, shaking his head. "You're not what they said you are you?" The forest was silent again, except for the slow breath of the beast. Elias sat down against a rock, exhausted. He had risked everything, but he had done it. He had saved something that should have killed him. But deep inside, a question burned. What kind of beast had he just healed? And why did it feel like the forest itself was holding its breath, as if waiting for something far darker to come? The night stretched on, the moons climbing higher. Elias closed his eyes for a moment, unaware that his act of mercy had just changed the fate of empires. Because the beast he healed was no ordinary creature. It was the most dangerous secret of a royal tyranny, and it now owed him its life. Healing the monster. The morning sun broke through the trees, painting the forest in shades of gold. Mist rose from the ground, wrapping the place in quiet mystery. Elias sat against a rock, rubbing his tired eyes. The night had been long. He had risked his life to heal the wounded beast, and now he wasn't sure what he had done. When he looked up, the creature was still there. Its massive body lay curled on the ground, scales rising and falling with each breath. Its wound had closed, but faint sparks of energy still glowed beneath the skin, like fire trapped in stone. Elias didn't understand it. No normal animal bled light. For a moment he thought about leaving. He could head back into the forest, try to find his wrecked ship, maybe repair the transmitter. But something kept him in that clearing. His eyes stayed fixed on the beast. It was watching him. The amber eyes were open now, glowing like molten metal. They followed his every move, sharp and unblinking. Yet there was no hunger in them. No sign of rage. Only curiosity. Elias stood slowly, careful not to look threatening. "You're awake," he said quietly. "Still alive. Thanks to me, I guess." The beast gave a low, rumbling sound. Not a growl, not a roar, something in between, almost like a voice without words. Elias opened his med kit again. The antiseptic spray was half empty, and the healing device was low on power. He approached the creature's wound carefully. The flesh had sealed, but he knew it wasn't enough. Infection, internal bleeding, or energy burn could still kill it. The beast did not move when he reached its side. Its chest rose and fell like a slow drum. Elias pressed the device once more, letting the light sink into the torn flesh. The glow in the wound flickered, then dimmed. He could almost feel the tension leave the beast's body. "Better?" he asked softly. The beast gave a deep exhale, warm air blasting over him like the breath of a furnace. Elias staggered back, laughing nervously. "I'll take that as a yes." Minutes passed. He cleaned, patched, and sealed what he could. His hands shook from exhaustion, but he kept working. The beast stayed still, as if it knew he was trying to save it. The trust between them grew in silence. Then something strange happened. When Elias touched the beast's skin, the scanner on his wrist beeped wildly. The screen lit up with strange symbols he had never seen. His device couldn't classify the creature, not as an animal, not as a machine. It read something in between. "What are you?" Elias whispered. The beast's eye rolled toward him as if it understood the question. Suddenly, the forest around them broke into noise. A pack of smaller predators emerged from the trees, wolf-like creatures, their fangs dripping with venom. Their eyes locked on Elias. They circled, growling, waiting to strike. Elias froze. His hand reached for the small knife at his belt, but he knew it was useless. There were too many of them. The predators lunged. Before they could reach him, the beast rose. It stood tall, its massive shadow swallowing the clearing. With a single roar, it sent shockwaves through the air. The predators scattered in panic, whining as they fled back into the forest. Elias stood frozen, his ears ringing. The ground itself had trembled under the beast's voice. He realized then that the creature had not only let him heal it had just protected him. "Why? Why would you save me?" Elias whispered. The beast lowered its head, pushing its massive snout toward him. Slowly, carefully, Elias placed his hand on its scarred skin. He felt the heat beneath, the strange pulse of energy flowing like a second heartbeat. It wasn't just an animal, it was something far greater. Elias took a step back, his mind racing. "You're not my patient anymore. You're my guardian." The beast let out a low sound like approval. Then, without warning, it moved. Its heavy body rose to full height, towering over the trees. With surprising grace, it followed him when he walked toward the forest edge. Wherever Elias went, the beast followed. He tested it. Took 3 steps. The beast moved 3 steps. Turned left. The beast turned left. It wasn't coincidence. It had chosen him. The thought filled Elias with unease. He had healed it out of mercy, nothing more. But now he had something, powerful at his side, something that could crush mountains. He didn't know if this bond was a gift or a curse. As the day passed, Elias noticed more. The beast hunted for him, bringing down prey with ease. It watched over him as he collected water. It even seemed to understand his words. When he said stay, it stayed. When he said come, it followed. The connection was undeniable. Man and beast, linked by something deeper than chance. But not everyone would see it that way. From the shadows of the forest, eyes watched. Whispers spread among hidden figures. They had seen the beast, they had seen the human with it, and they knew what it meant. The Tyrant Queen's lost secret had been found. The beast's loyalty. The forest had changed. Where once Elias walked with fear, now he walked with a giant shadow by his side. The beast followed him everywhere, its steps heavy but steady like the heartbeat of the land itself. Birds scattered when it appeared. Smaller creatures hid in their burrows. The forest gave way before its presence. Elias should have felt safer, and in some ways he did. But there was also unease. Every time he looked at the creature, he remembered what it had done to those predators, how one roar had shattered the silence and sent terror running. That kind of power didn't belong to any normal animal. Still, the beast was loyal. When Elias drank from the river, the beast stood guard watching the trees. When Elias searched for food, the beast brought down prey with ruthless skill, dropping it at his feet like an offering. And when Elias lay down to sleep, the beast curled its body around him, shielding him from the night's chill. It was as if the creature had claimed him. One evening, Elias tested the bond. He stood in a clearing and pointed toward a fallen tree. "Stay," he said firmly. The beast lowered its massive head and did not move. Elias walked 20 steps away, glancing back. Still the beast waited. Then he waved his hand. "Come." The ground shook as the creature rose and followed, its golden eyes glowing in the fading light. Elias exhaled a nervous laugh. "You understand me." "Don't you?" The beast blinked, then made a low rumble that almost sounded like agreement. But loyalty brought questions. Why him? Why now? As they traveled, Elias reached a small colony of settlers, simple huts hidden between trees, smoke rising from their fires. The people froze when they saw him. Or rather, when they saw what walked behind him, the beast mothers pulled their children close. Men reached for weapons, though none dared lift them. Eyes wide, they whispered to each other, voices trembling. "That's it," one man said. "The lost terror," said another. "No, it can't be alive." Elias raised his hands. "It's not here to harm you. It's with me." The colonists exchanged fearful glances. An elder stepped forward, her face lined with age, her eyes sharp with memory. She pointed at the beast's glowing scars. "I know that mark," she whispered. "It belongs to the Tyrant Queen." Elias's blood went cold. He turned to the beast, staring at the faint symbols etched into its skin, almost hidden beneath its scales. They glowed faintly like ancient brands. "What do you mean?" he asked. The elder's voice was heavy. "Long ago the Queen forged living weapons, beasts that were more than flesh, machines of war bound by her command. One was said to be unstoppable, a creature of destruction. It vanished, and now it walks again." The colonists backed away, fear in every eye. To them, the beast was not a savior. It was a curse returned from history. Elias felt the weight of their stares. He wanted to argue, to say they were wrong, but deep down he knew their fear had truth. That night he camped outside the colony. The villagers locked their gates, refusing him entry. Only the glow of their torches shone through the darkness. The beast lay beside him, resting its great head on the ground. Elias stared at the sky, the stars sharp above the trees. His thoughts churned. "You're not just an animal," he said quietly. "You're a weapon, maybe even a nightmare. But why follow me? Why stay loyal to me?" The beast made no sound, yet its eyes opened, golden and calm, watching him in silence. The next morning his answer came. A group of raiders struck the colony, their ships landing with fire and smoke. They came with energy rifles and sharp blades, demanding food, supplies, and lives. The villagers screamed, scattering in panic. Elias grabbed his knife, ready to fight, though he knew he stood no chance. Then the beast moved. It rose like a mountain, a roar splitting the sky. The raiders froze in terror. The creature lunged, swatting ships aside with a single strike, snapping weapons in its jaws. Soldiers fired, but the blast bounced off its scales. In minutes, the battle was over. Raiders fled into the forest, their screams fading into silence. The villagers stared in shock. Their huts burned, but they were alive. Saved by the very monster they feared. Elias stood at the beast's side, his chest heaving. He looked at the colonists, their faces pale and wide-eyed. "Do you see now?" he shouted. "It's not your enemy. It's not the Queen's anymore. It's mine. It's ours. It protects us." The elder stepped forward, trembling. Her eyes searched the beast, then Elias. "If it has chosen you," she whispered, "then the Queen will come for you. And when she does, no colony, no forest, no world will be safe." Her words lingered like smoke in the air. Elias looked at the beast, its body towering over the flames. His heart swelled with both pride and dread. The creature had saved them. It had shown loyalty beyond doubt, but loyalty had a price, and the Queen's shadow was already stretching across the stars. Whispers of the Empire. The colony did not sleep after the raid. Smoke rose from the huts, and the air was filled with the sound of weeping and fear. The villagers whispered among themselves, their eyes flicking again and again toward the giant beast standing near the forest's edge. Some prayed to the stars, others cursed their fate, but none dared to go near the creature. Only Elias stayed close to it. He sat by the fire, sharpening his blade, though he knew the knife was nothing compared to the beast's power. The firelight flickered against the creature's scales, casting strange shadows that made it look both noble and terrifying. The elder came to him again. Her steps were slow, her face pale with worry. "Do you know what you carry, stranger?" she asked. Elias looked up. "A life I saved. That's all." She shook her head. "No, you carry the Queen's secret. Her most dangerous creation. For years, her hunters searched for it. They say she poured her will into this monster, that its heart beats with her command." Elias frowned, glancing at the beast. It lay quietly, eyes closed, like a loyal hound. "If it belongs to her," he said, "then why does it follow me?" The elder's voice dropped to a whisper. "Perhaps it waits. Perhaps it remembers another master. Or perhaps—" She paused, her gaze sharp. "It wants freedom, and you are the key." Her words chilled him. He looked at the beast again, seeing it not just as a protector but as a mystery far beyond his reach. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. He walked outside the village, the beast trailing behind like a shadow. The forest was quiet, but his mind was loud. Every story the elder told gnawed at him. If this creature was truly tied to the Queen, then sooner or later someone would come. And he was right. At dawn, the sky split with the hum of ships. 3 small craft streaked across the horizon, marked with the black sigil of the Tyrant Queen. Villagers screamed and ran for cover. The beast raised its head, a low growl rumbling deep in its chest. Elias's heart pounded. He knew what this meant. The Queen's forces had found them. The ships landed in the clearing, their wings folding like blades. Soldiers in black armor stepped out, rifles gleaming in the light. Their leader, a tall man with cold eyes, raised a hand. "Step aside, colonists," he called. His voice carried the authority of command. "By order of Her Majesty, you will surrender the beast." No one moved. The villagers trembled, their eyes darting between Elias and the soldiers. The commander's gaze locked on Elias. "You, human, you stand closest to it. Hand it over and you will live." Elias swallowed hard. The beast shifted beside him, its claws digging into the earth. He felt its breath like heat against his back. "I healed it," Elias said firmly. "It's with me now." The commander's lips curved into a cruel smile. "Then you are a fool. That creature is no ally. It is a weapon. A weapon forged for one purpose, destruction. You think it follows you? It obeys because you are a placeholder until the Queen recalls it." The soldiers raised their rifles. The villagers gasped. Elias tightened his grip on his knife. "If she wants it," he said, "she'll have to take it." The commander laughed, shaking his head. "Then you have chosen death." He gave the order. Shots rang out, energy bolts flashing through the clearing. The beast roared, its body moving like a storm. Blasts struck its scales and scattered harmlessly. With a single sweep of its tail, it sent soldiers flying. The ground cracked under its weight as it charged, tearing through the Queen's men like paper. Elias ducked behind a rock, watching in awe and horror. The beast was unstoppable, just as the elder had said. The soldiers screamed, their weapons useless, their ships smashed under its claws. When the battle ended, silence returned. Smoke curled from the wrecks. The commander lay on the ground, coughing, his armor broken. He looked up at Elias with hate. "You cannot keep it," he hissed. "She will come herself. She will tear this world apart to reclaim it." The beast loomed over him, growling, ready to end him. But Elias raised his hand. "No, let him live." The creature paused, then stepped back. The commander crawled away, retreating to the shattered remains of his ship. With a final glare, he vanished into the forest. Elias turned to the villagers. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with both gratitude and fear. He had saved them again, but the price had risen. Now the Queen knew where he was. That night, Elias sat by the fire, the beast lying beside him. His thoughts burned like the flames. "You're more than loyal," he whispered. "You're dangerous. To them, to her, maybe even to me." The beast opened its golden eyes, staring at him. There was no malice there, only something deeper, something almost human. Elias leaned closer, his voice low. "If the Queen is coming, we'll need each other. But I have to ask myself, am I saving you, or are you saving me?" The forest gave no answer. But in the distance, far beyond the trees, thunder rumbled. Not from the sky, from engines, from war. The whispers of the Empire had become footsteps, and they were coming closer. Revelation, the forest had grown restless. Days passed after the Queen's soldiers retreated, but the air felt heavy with warning. Birds no longer sang in the mornings. Strange shadows lingered at the edges of the trees, as if the world itself was waiting for something terrible. Elias walked the path between the colony and the river, his blade at his side. The beast followed, its golden eyes scanning the dark woods. Villagers had stopped speaking to him directly. They kept their distance, whispering when he passed. To them, he was no longer just a man. He was the keeper of a monster, and he felt the weight of it every hour. At night, when the beast slept, Elias studied its scars. Beneath the scales, faint lines glowed like circuitry, patterns too perfect to be natural. He traced them with cautious fingers, feeling a pulse-like energy moving under skin. The scanner on his wrist could not classify it. The screen flashed red every time, as if refusing to name what it truly was. The elder's words returned again and again. "It is a weapon. It remembers its maker." Elias wanted to deny it, but deep down, he knew the truth was close, and when it came, he would not be ready. It happened at dawn. The sky burned orange when the Queen's hunters returned. Not 3 ships this time, 10. They flew low, their engines shaking the trees, their weapons already hot. Soldiers poured from the crafts in black armor, moving with ruthless order. The villagers screamed, fleeing toward the hills. The hunters shouted through speakers, "By command of Her Majesty, surrender the beast. Resist and all will perish." Elias stood at the center of the clearing, the beast at his side, his heart hammered. He had faced raiders, he had faced soldiers, but this was an army. The commander of the hunters stepped forward. A woman this time, her voice sharp as steel. "You are Elias of Earth," she said. "You trespass on royal ground and claim what is not yours. Release the beast and your death will be swift. Resist and it will be slow." Elias tightened his grip on his knife. "You'll have to kill me first." The commander raised her hand. "As you wish." Blaster fire cut through the air. Explosions tore the ground. The villagers cried out as their huts burst into flames. Elias dove behind a fallen tree, but he knew he couldn't win this. Not alone. He turned to the beast. Its body trembled, not with fear, but with something rising inside. Something ancient, something hidden. The glow beneath its scars brightened. Lines of fire raced across its scales, forming symbols that burned like stars. Its golden eyes flared with blinding light. Then the beast roared. The sound split the world. Trees bent, the earth cracked, and the soldiers staggered, clutching their helmets. From the beast's chest burst a wave of energy, blue and violent, spreading like fire through the clearing. Blasters shattered. Armor cracked. Ships toppled as if struck by a storm. Elias froze in shock. He had seen strength. He had seen fury. But this was something else. This was power-crafted, designed, made for war. The hunters screamed, retreating into the forest. But the beast was not finished. Its jaws opened, releasing a torrent of searing plasma that melted steel like wax. The ground boiled where it struck. Elias covered his head, the heat burning his skin. When he looked up, half the clearing was gone, scorched to black ash. The beast stood at the center, its body still glowing, smoke rising from its scales. It turned slowly, its eyes locking onto Elias. And in that moment, Elias saw the truth. This was no creature of nature. This was no simple beast. It was alive, yes, but its flesh was fused with something else. Machines, weapons, ancient technology bound to living tissue. The Tyrant Queen had not just bred a monster. She had built it. Elias's legs shook. His voice was barely a whisper. "You're her weapon." The beast lowered its head, panting heavily. Its glow dimmed, fading back into the cracks of its skin. But it didn't look at the soldiers. It didn't look at the colony. It looked only at him. For a long moment, Elias didn't know whether to run or reach out. His hand trembled as he touched its scarred face. The heat was fading, replaced with the steady thrum of life. "You saved me," he said softly. "But how many have you killed before me?" The villagers crept out from hiding. Their eyes were wide, their faces pale. They had seen the beast tear apart an army. Some fell to their knees, calling it a demon. Others whispered in awe, calling it a god. The elder's voice rose above them all. "Now you understand. It is no guardian. It is a storm. And storms do not serve, they destroy." Elias looked at the beast, his chest heavy with conflict. He had healed it. He had trusted it. And now he had seen what it truly was. But even as fear gripped him, another thought stirred in his mind. If this monster was bound to the Queen, why had it fought against her soldiers? Why had it chosen him instead? The questions had no answers. Not yet, but one thing was certain. The Queen would not stop. She would come. Not with hunters, but with armies, with fire, with rage. And when she did, the bond between man and beast would be tested in ways Elias could not imagine. The revelation was clear. The beast was not just a companion. It was the most dangerous secret of a royal tyranny, and Elias had brought it back to life. The battle had ended, but the silence that followed was heavier than war. The clearing still smoked from the beast's unleashed power. Black scars marked the earth where plasma had burned through soil and stone. Villagers gathered at a distance, staring with wide eyes. Some whispered prayers. Others packed their belongings, ready to abandon their homes. No one dared step near the monster. Only Elias stood close. His hands trembled as he wiped soot from his face. He looked at the beast, still glowing faintly, its chest rising and falling with slow exhaustion. It had saved them all. Yet it had also shown them the truth. It was not just an animal. It was a weapon of impossible power. Elias whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. "What are you really? Why me?" The beast lowered its massive head, resting it near his feet. Its golden eyes flickered with strange light, almost gentle. For a moment, Elias thought he saw something human in them. The elder stepped forward, her staff shaking in her hand. "Now you see what we warned you," she said. "This creature is not your friend. It is a storm bound in flesh. The Queen will not rest until she has it back." Elias looked at her, his jaw tight. "And if she takes it, how many worlds burn? How many people die? You want me to hand it over?" "I can't," her eyes narrowed. "Then you will bring ruin on us all." The next night, the answer came from the sky. A great ship descended, larger than any the villagers had ever seen. It blocked the stars, casting the land into shadow. Its engines roared like thunder, and its hull gleamed with the black and gold of the Empire. The Tyrant Queen had come. Her vessel landed with force, flattening trees. From its gates marched soldiers in endless ranks, their armor shining, their rifles glowing with charged energy. At their head, cloaked in crimson, walked the Queen herself. She was tall, regal, her face hidden behind a golden mask. Her voice, when it spoke, carried across the clearing like a blade cutting through air. "Elias of Earth, step forward." The villagers dropped to their knees, trembling. Elias stood, his heart pounding, but his legs refused to bend. The beast moved beside him, towering like a mountain of shadow and light. The Queen raised a hand toward it. "My creation, my weapon. You have wandered too long. Return to me," the beast growled, its body tensing. But it did not move. Elias spoke before fear could stop him. "It's not yours anymore. It chose me." The Queen's laugh echoed cold and sharp. "You think you were chosen? Fool. It obeys you because I allow it. Every scar in its flesh carries my command. Every roar, every strike is the echo of my will." She lowered her mask slightly, revealing pale lips curved into a smile. "Do not mistake its loyalty for love. It is bound, and I can take it back whenever I please." The beast roared in defiance, shaking the ground. Energy sparked along its scars as if two wills were fighting inside it, one its own, the other hers. Elias stepped closer, placing a hand on its warm scales. "Listen to me," he said softly, his voice trembling. "You're not hers. You don't have to be. You can choose," the Queen's voice thundered. "It cannot choose. It was built to destroy at my command. Hand it over, Elias, or I will burn this world until nothing remains." Her soldiers raised their rifles. The villagers cried out in terror. The elder's voice shook as she shouted, "Do it! Give her the beast before we all die." Elias's chest tightened. His mind spun. He saw the fear of the villagers, the flames of their homes, the cruelty in the queen's words. He also saw the beast's eyes watching him, waiting. This was the choice. Surrender the beast, save the colony, and doom countless others, or fight to free it, risking every life here, including his own. His hands curled into fists. "No," he whispered. Then louder, "No, it's not your weapon anymore." The queen's mask glinted in the firelight. "Then you are a dead man." She raised her hand. The soldiers prepared to fire. But before they could, the beast moved. It stepped between Elias and the army, its body glowing brighter than before. The ground trembled under its weight. Energy surged from its scars, but this time the light flickered wildly, as if the creature was fighting chains inside its very soul. The queen stretched out her hand, her voice like thunder. "Obey me." The beast howled, its roar filled with agony. It shook its head, claws ripping into the soil torn between two masters. The villagers cowered, covering their ears from the sound. Elias pressed his palm against its face, shouting over the roar. "You're free. Do you hear me? You're not hers, you're free." For a moment everything stopped. The beast's eyes locked on his, golden fire burning with pain and fury. Then something snapped. The glow across its body flared brighter, breaking into sparks. The chains etched into its flesh cracked, glowing lines splintering like shattered glass. The queen's command faltered. The beast roared again, not in pain but in defiance. The soldiers staggered. The queen's mask tilted, her voice sharp with rage. "Impossible." Elias stood tall beside the creature, his chest heaving. "It chose. Not you. Me." The queen's hand trembled, then curled into a fist. "Then I will tear your world apart, and we will see how long its loyalty lasts." Her army raised their weapons. The villagers screamed. The forest itself seemed to hold its breath, and in the center stood man and beast, bound not by chains but by choice. The final stand, the clearing, was fire and shadow. Smoke curled upward, blotting out the stars. Soldiers stood in formation, rifles glowing, waiting for the queen's signal. Villagers huddled behind shattered huts, silent with dread. At the center, Elias stood with the beast at his side. Its scales still burned with cracks of golden light, each pulse like the beat of a second heart. Elias could feel its energy through the air, wild, unstable, but free. The queen stepped forward. Her crimson cloak dragged across the scorched ground. Her golden mask gleamed like the sun, though her eyes behind it were sharp with fury. "You dare defy me," she said, her voice carrying like thunder. "You, a broken man from a forgotten world. And you—" She pointed at the beast, her fingers trembling with rage. "You are mine. You always were," the beast growled, lowering its head. Its body coiled like a storm waiting to break. Elias raised his voice. "It's not yours anymore. It's not a weapon, not a servant. It chose its own path," the queen laughed, cold and cruel. "Chose? Do you think machines choose? Do you think flesh bound to steel has freedom, you fool? Its loyalty is nothing but an echo of my will." She raised her hand. The beast roared in pain, its scars glowing as her command forced itself into its body. Its claws ripped the earth, struggling to resist. Elias pressed his hand against its face. "Stay with me," he shouted. "Not her, me." The beast's golden eyes flickered between rage and agony. Then it shook its head violently, snapping the chain of command like glass. The glow flared brighter than ever, and for the first time the queen's voice faltered. Her soldiers hesitated, fear breaking their perfect lines. The queen's mask tilted. "So you fight me? Then you die as traitor and thief." She dropped her cloak. From her hands erupted arcs of black energy, power that split the ground. The air screamed as the storm of her will surged forward. Elias dove aside, the blast striking where he had stood. The ground exploded, fire ripping through the clearing. The beast lunged, swiping with claws that crackled with light. But the queen moved like shadow, dodging with inhuman speed. She struck back, her black lightning slamming against its chest. The beast roared, stumbling but not falling. The villagers watched in terror as man, monster, and queen clashed in the ruins of their home. Elias scrambled to his feet, his knife drawn, though it looked like nothing compared to the fire of gods. Still, he ran forward, shouting as he struck. His blade scraped across the queen's golden mask, leaving a thin crack. She turned on him instantly, eyes burning with hate. "You dare touch me?" She raised her hand, black energy building into a killing blow. Elias froze, knowing he could not stop it, but the beast moved faster. It threw itself between them, the blast slamming into its side. Energy burned through its flesh, but it did not fall. It stood shielding Elias with its body, growling with fury. The queen's voice rose in rage. "You would betray me for him?" The beast answered with a roar that shook the heavens. Its chest glowed brighter and brighter until the air itself trembled. Energy surged outward in a wave of golden fire. Soldiers screamed as their weapons shattered. The queen staggered, her mask cracking further, sparks of her own power flickering unstable. Elias shielded his eyes from the blinding light. When it faded, half the army was gone, burned away or fled into the forest. Smoke and silence followed, but the queen still stood. Her mask was split, revealing one eye, cold, human, and burning with wrath. "You think this ends here?" she hissed. "You think loyalty will save you?" She raised her hand again, her power gathering like a storm. Behind her, the remains of her fleet shifted, engines roaring. More ships began to descend, their shadows blotting out the sky. Elias felt his chest tighten. He had thought the beast's defiance was enough. He had thought they had won. But this was only the beginning. The queen pointed at him, her cracked mask gleaming. "You are nothing, Elias. When the stars burn, when your world is ash, when this creature kneels again, you will know what it means to defy me." The beast lowered its head beside Elias, growling. He rested his hand against its scarred skin. His fear burned away, replaced with resolve. "Then we fight," he said. His voice shook, but his words were steady. "Together." The queen laughed, the sound filled with fury and madness. Above them, the sky thundered with the approach of more ships. The ground shook with the march of fresh soldiers. The villagers stared in silence, knowing their fate balanced on a knife's edge. Man, beast, and queen. Three wills clashing in a storm that would decide not just the colony, but the stars themselves. The beast roared, Elias raised his blade, and the queen's power surged like nightfall. The battle had only begun.